You know, I find it absolutely crazy that Ahsoka in The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 5 may be the least wild thing revealed. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Smash that like button, and I need to remind people that very soon we're going to be dropping multiple videos a day, and if you are not subscribed, you're going to miss videos. So if you want to catch all the videos, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Oh, and of course, spoiler warning for The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 5, the Jedi, the Ahsoka episode. I assume people won't be clicking videos like this unless they have seen the episode, but if you have not, and you've wondered in your thought that this could be a video for you, it's not. We're going to talk spoilers. Now, this episode has a ton of different things to talk about. I'm working on several videos. I'm sure there's tons of people out there speculating different things, talking about different things, wondering different things. But in this video, what I wanted to focus on was really Grogu, or, you know, Baby Yoda, his place within the Force, Ahsoka, Tython, you know, possibly Din Djarin's place in all of this as well, because to me, this is like some of the craziest, it's so insane, basically, that they'd be willing to go to this kind of a place, that is really what is interesting me the most. Now, Grogu is obviously strong with the Force, and he's strong and has been trained. This is crazy. So he has actually been trained on Coruscant by a ton of different Jedi Masters, and it makes a little bit more sense now that he's able to do some of the things that we have seen him do. He's had actual training, but he's also really afraid, and there's this dark time period in Grogu's memory that's sort of absent or missing, and something possibly quite dark and sinister has happened to him that we're not currently aware of. And his connection to Din Djarin is also really interesting because it seems to be so strong that Ahsoka is not even willing to train this child. This is, of course, because she has seen firsthand what happened to Anakin Skywalker, who we believe is who she's referring to when she says in the episode that she has seen what this kind of attachment does to the best of us, to the fully trained Jedi Knights. Of course, she's referring to Anakin. We also know, just from an analytical side, that the baby's M count is very high. That is why the Empire is so obsessed with having Grogu, and likely why he was being harvested to create Snoke or whatever those things were in the vat. So Grogu's really strong with the Force, and that might play a role in why Ahsoka doesn't want to train him as well, right? She doesn't want to train this really powerful potential dark side user, just like Anakin became. But she's willing to tell Din Djarin to take him to Tython, to an ancient Jedi temple, and set him upon a seeing stone. And what's more, she explains to Grogu and to Din Djarin that at that moment, Grogu will be able to choose his path. He'll be able to see his path forward and choose his own path. And Grogu even gives her this weird sort of look like, oh, what? We're putting this back on me? She mentions that a Jedi could feel his signal and come and find him, but she also says there's not a lot of Jedi there. Now, of course, many people around are thinking of Luke Skywalker, and it's so crazy because we haven't heard anything about Luke being in this season, but it would kind of make sense. And going to Tython at this point actually makes me think that it would be a missed opportunity at this point if we didn't see Luke Skywalker. But let's back up for a second, because all Star Wars fans are about to become an expert on Tython over the next couple of days as we all watch videos and just go crazy on Wikipedia, etc., etc. So let me give you the TLDR version of Tython as far as I understand it. So Tython is a planet that the Jedi Order comes from. It's not where the first Force users come from. There were Force users around. There were the Rakad, and I believe there were even fully functioning faction of Dark Jedi elsewhere in the galaxy. But on Tython, the very first Jedi come from that planet. And I think this mostly comes in almost a second wave of pilgrims that come to the planet by way of these weird alien spacecraft that start showing up across the galaxy, and these things are called the Tho-Yor. Now, in Legends, the Tho-Yor pop up, and a bunch of Force-sensitive people are drawn to these spaceships. They get in the ships, and then those ships migrate and just go to Tython. And basically what happened is a bunch of these really strong Force sensitives all go to a planet that is very rich with the power of the Force, and they sort of meditate on it, become very close to the Force, grow with the Force, and form the Jedi. And the Jedi are much more like what you would think of as a gray Jedi or something closer to the Bendu. The Jedi believed in true balance between light and dark. In fact, the planet had 2 moons that were also very powerful with different aspects of the Force. There was the Ashla, which was a white moon, very strong with the light side of the Force, and the Bogan, which was a dark side red moon. And if you were a Jedi and you became out of balance, let's say too far to the dark side, they would send you to Ashla. They would send you to the light side moon to bring you back to balance, and vice versa. If you went to light side, they would send you to the Bogan and get you to come back into the center. And this theme is, of course, from Star Wars Rebels and Clone Wars and all throughout Star Wars lore. This is why the Bendu refers to the presence of Kanan Jarrus, the Jedi Knight, as a violent storm, because his presence is so light side that is bringing the natural balance of the planet off. And I personally can't help but notice the visual similarities to the Tho-Yor and the ship that Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka visit in the Mortis arc of the Clone Wars, where they meet the Mortis gods. And trust me, we will do a ton more videos on all this deep, nerdy Star Wars lore, because it's insane that we're going this deep and bringing so much of Legends in. But Tython is also a planet that has had many invasions from other Force-wielding people. It creates the initial split, which become Dark Jedi and eventually the Sith. It is a planet rich with history. It eventually is visited by Darth Bane. It is a crazy thing to be bringing into Star Wars right now. But on top of that, Grogu, right? This character that is at the core of this show that we love is now going to be visiting this place, being put on the Seeing Stone, and he's going to attract in either a Jedi or potentially maybe a dark side user. And the fact that Ahsoka won't train Grogu, and the fact that she senses this fear and he's got this gap and this dark maybe part of his history, this is all really interesting, and it makes it so that, yeah, Grogu could fall to the dark side. There could be something nefarious going on there. This brings all of this impact to his journey, and it comes to a choice. I love that Ahsoka said that Grogu will be able to choose his fate, and this is crazy, and we're all going to be on the edge of our seat to see what actually happens when he makes this decision. And of course, Luke Skywalker showing up could be ridiculous and could make sense, and I will do videos on that. Trust me, there's a lot of videos to do here. But I want to tease out this other aspect of the episode that I thought was really interesting and could actually also be a reason why Ahsoka is sending them both to Tython. Because I believe this episode sets up Din Djarin as potentially being a Force-sensitive being. And again, I'll do a full video on this, but the biggest reason, real quick, is because Ahsoka is only able to communicate with Grogu via the Force. They feel each other's thoughts and can communicate through the Force, which is really interesting and could just be something innate to Grogu. Maybe he can't actually speak that well, and that's just how he has to speak to people, and that was how he learned from the Jedi Masters. That's how he talked to Ahsoka. But interestingly enough, it's also how he communicates with Din. If you think about it, they even show you it in this episode. He tells him to sit back. He orders him while they're training. He gets him to take the knob. He's literally communicating with him. And there's this moment when Ahsoka tells Din to reach out to him and sort of like stretch out with his feelings. And Grogu instantly shifts his feelings and his face. And you can tell he is sensing that they are now into some kind of a Force connection. And Filoni does this really cool little slight zoom in with this little like chime as it's happening to really emphasize that they're both tapping into the Force. And I think this is so interesting. It makes a lot more of the show make sense if Din Djarin is Force sensitive, and Mandalorians are traditionally very stubborn. And so even if they are Force sensitive or a child of the Force with a high midichlorian count, they usually are so stubborn and so literal that they don't end up letting the Force in and like allowing themselves to sort of flow with it. And so Din could be Force sensitive and had just been cutting himself off from such abilities. And I think it's possible that Ahsoka could feel this as well, and that she's not just sending Grogu to Tython, she's sending Din Djarin to Tython, and she wants them both to understand their wider place in the Force. And I think this could lead to a scenario in which Din becomes another version of Tar Vizsla, a Force-sensitive Mandalorian that may well be gifted the actual Darksaber and could become a messiah of sorts for the Mandalorian people and eventually become the Mandalore. But that's it, guys. Just some crazy speculation about some of the really cool spoilery aspects from Episode 5 of The Mandalorian Season 2. Ahsoka was incredible, and we've talked about her, and we're going to continue to gush about Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. But it's just wild that we're going with this deep Force lore, potentially with Din Djarin, with maybe even Luke Skywalker, and of course with Grogu, who is significant to the Force in some way for sure. And so I hope you enjoyed this kind of just stream of consciousness video. People seem to like the last one, so I wanted to just kind of do a similar thing. Let me know what you're thinking in the comment section below.